ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਆਪਣੀ Sonia West. Today we are at the Surrey Board of Trade and we are talking to Anita Patel Huberman. She is CEO and President of Surrey Board of Trade. We're going to talk about amazing things that the city of Surrey is doing because of the Surrey Board of Trade, and we'll show you a few clips to start the show. Anita Patel Huberman, welcome.
Thank you.
So tell me, we're here at the Surrey Board of Trade. I know that this isn't, what you've done your entire life, but there's a journey when you got here. Where did it start?
Well, I actually started at the Surrey Board of Trade when I was 19 years old.
Oh my goodness, okay.
So I started as a summer student, worked 1 day a week, my summers to pay for tuition. My parents couldn't afford to pay for university.
Right.
So I had to find a way to do it. And I'm so glad I did because it really complemented my education working here. And definitely, I worked all the way through university. I graduated in 1996.
Okay. From what?
From a bachelor's degree with communications and a minor in European history because I love to travel.
Right.
And certainly, I love the Board of Trade, but I did decide to leave for a year and go into the Royal Bank Management Program.
Okay.
And I worked there for a year, and I had great experience, but left after a year, because banking wasn't really for me. It's like a square box, and for me, I need to be creative and entrepreneurial. And I really wanted to instigate community impact.
Yes.
And the Board of Trade needed human capital at that time. So I returned back in 1997, and I worked all the way as an executive assistant.
Right.
Then an events manager, operations manager. And then I applied for the top job when I was 32 years old.
Okay.
And that's unheard of. To have a young female South Asian in this industry within the nation. There wasn't a South Asian female leading a Board of Trade or Chamber of Commerce. There's 430 of us. Yeah. And I had to work really hard and to prove myself, and I got the job.
Yeah.
And I worked 12-hour days to really create revolutionary change for this organization.
Absolutely. Well, being a female, being South Asian, some would consider that strikes against you. Have to really struggle to get to that point. So good for you for getting to that point. And your heart was with Surrey Board of Trade because you returned back to Surrey Board of Trade, and here we are today. So communications makes sense to me because we see you at so many events. You're always out and about in the community. I follow you on social media, as all of our viewers, I'm sure, as well do. How does that come into play with your education and your role and being in the community?
Well, definitely I speak at many events, not only locally, but regionally, provincially, nationally. Not only to talk about the Surrey Board of Trade, but to talk about Surrey, to talk about different initiatives around economic development. But my education was only the beginning of the journey that I'm on now. And I always say to everyone, success is a journey, not a destination.
Yes.
And so I'm out and about in the community. I'm also branding my team members out and about in the community because I'm only one person.
Right.
And there's so much happening in Surrey. We're going to be the largest city in British Columbia in about 12 years. And we all need to be out there, to be visible in order to do our work.
Right.
And so my education has helped me to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But it's about the experience.
Right.
It's about the connections. But it's also about the... and not every person can do this, to really work in a very multifaceted organization where you have to connect the dots and ensure results, deliver and execute. Not everyone can do that in a very fast-paced way.
True.
It takes a special kind of person, Sonia, to really work in this organization. Right. Every Board of Trade chamber is very different. And you can get by with doing the minimal,
right?
But I mobilized my team And our volunteers, our 450 volunteers, to do even better, to excel to greater heights. And I believe that's been great for our city.
Right. That's very well said. Absolutely. Somebody could have the education but not have that heart and that determination which you have.
Yes.
So Surrey Board of Trade, I know that many people know exactly what you do, but if you can elaborate on specifically what Surrey Board of Trade does, because there's so much that you've done, and as well you've made it a little bit more exciting. So tell me what Surrey Board of Trade does.
The essence really of our organization is that we support business and we bring business into Surrey.
Okay.
But we do that through a very diversified service portfolio. So we have an international trade center where we're creating global business connections for local businesses, trade documentation, connections, all of those pieces, trade missions. We have a business center, starting up, scaling up businesses, any level of support. We just purchased a second location, which we're going to be unveiling early next year, called our Surrey Tech Skills Center with Western Community College.
Yes.
And it is going to revolutionize the whole Chamber Board of Trade model by really ensuring Surrey is a tech destination and a training destination. We also are an instigator of change at the different levels of government. I'm a registered government lobbyist.
Okay.
So you name it, we do it, from transportation, environment, trade, taxation, workforce, livability issues. We're engaged writing policy papers, speaking to government. We're a concierge of connection, Sonia.
Yes.
So not only do we have our own events, 150 events, catering to our diverse industry membership, 6,000 member contacts. We're really focused on building partnerships with different partnership organizations.
Right.
And that enhances our brand, it helps our members, it helps build the city's profile.
Absolutely.
And we also are focused on workforce development.
Okay.
We have a labor shortage, a skills shortage. So we're putting out labor market intelligence reports, building trifecta economic partnerships between education, newcomer organizations, and then business, really ensuring that different industries such as construction development, hospitality, that we have productive labor outcomes.
Yes. So you do a lot of things with Surrey Board of Trade. It's amazing what you do for everyone. You just listed off so many things that you do. And I know there's even more than that. One thing specifically I wanted to talk about was the movie industry. That's really exciting to me. Because when we talk about business, it's a lot of people like they kind of think, oh, the boring stuff. But there's some really exciting things happening with the movie industry and your connection with that.
Yes, well, with the film industry and any industry that we're trying to develop is really focused on creating jobs, creating new businesses, businesses that support the film industry.
Right.
So our work, for example, with the International South Asian Film Festival, Manu Sindhu, Ritesh Milani, is just amazing.
Yes.
In trying to make Surrey a Bollywood film destination, but a film industry destination for international producers, international filmmakers.
Yeah.
And we're wanting to create businesses and also support that industry.
Right.
We've had close to 700 TV and film productions in Surrey. The last stat was 2018.
Okay.
But I'm sure it's grown from that, even during the pandemic, even with the challenges of the strike, for the writers and the actors.
That's right.
But our goal at the Surrey Board of Trade, and especially with our relationship with the Indian diaspora, is to make Surrey a Bollywood film destination, to build purpose-built film studio space. And because we're a border city, to really ensure that we're nurturing that entrepreneurial ecosystem for the film sector and having that distribution strategy, ensuring a framework where red tape is reduced, where there's funding support for filmmakers, not only for the big names, like Shah Rukh Khan and all of those people, but also for independent film producers.
Okay, so equal across the board kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, it's about time because of our population. You know, visibly you can see all of the new immigrants that come here. You can see it in Surrey, and we needed something to do with Bollywood and have that filming here rather than have to send it elsewhere. So
yes.
It's really exciting.
And you know, when I say Bollywood, it doesn't exclude other international groups. We have 111 different languages that are spoken in Surrey.
We do.
So huge Filipino community, Chinese community. They're all filmmakers.
Right.
And we can all be a part of the film industry. So it's initiatives like that, our tech center, our economic development activities, where we're all focused on building a narrative of success.
Right. So how do you come up with these ideas? Where are they coming from?
Well, they're coming from research. European chambers, Australian chambers are really way ahead of the game when it comes to doing that type of work, creating excitement.
Right.
We're behind in Canada, and really my most amazing ideas come from the other side of the world.
Okay.
Dubai is another great center.
Yeah.
India is another great center, of course.
Right.
But sometimes you have to look outside of North America and really make those ideas your own as you're bringing them in from international audiences. And that's why at the end of August, I had this very unique opportunity to go to India as part of the G20 delegation and really leverage and network with an international audience base.
Right. I did see your trip to India on social media. How was that experience for you? Had you been to India before that?
Yes, on our formal trade mission in 2011.
Okay, so it's been a while.
But it's been a while, and wow, has Delhi changed.
Okay.
So I only stayed in Delhi because the convention was in Delhi. But India is so impressive. Yes, you have challenges. We have challenges in India. 1.4 billion people, of course, and growing, you're going to have challenges. But it is a growing entrepreneurial ecosystem, an appetite for risk, and really doing things quickly around infrastructure development, progressive. So I was really impressed, and I'm so glad I had that opportunity to go and also to represent Canada.
Right. So before Surrey Board of Trade, when you were just a little girl, what did you want to become, and where did you grow up? Like kind of your childhood?
I was born in Alberta, actually. My dad was a pulp and paper chemist.
Wow.
And then when I was a year old, we moved to Prince George. And I lived there until I was 11 years old. Okay. And then I went to high school here, university in Vancouver area, Surrey area. But, both of my parents, they came in the late 60s. Okay. And certainly they had to work really hard. Things were different in the 60s, early 70s.
Absolutely.
But some things have remained the same in terms of challenges to newcomers.
Right.
But that work ethic was intrinsically nurtured within myself. My dad wanted me to be a doctor. That seemed to be the only pathway in life. And I was quite rebellious. Yeah. When I was a young lady, and definitely I knew what I wanted to do, and it wasn't to be a doctor. Right. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Even when I was in university, I thought, okay, am I going to be an entrepreneur? Maybe I'll work in the travel industry because I love to travel. But, this job posting came up. Yeah. I had to pay for my tuition. Right. And I'm so glad I did well in the interview. Right. But, when you're a woman and you're young and you don't know where your journey is going to go, you have to work still twice as hard. Right. But I even find when I'm 50, I have to work even 5 times as hard to prove myself each and every day, because you are only as good as your last success. And not everyone thinks that way. Right. And that's why you see such progressiveness within our organization, within my team, and the culture that I've nurtured here. Right.
You've got a very embracing kind of attitude toward everything, it sounds like. What kind of challenges have you faced? I mean, being South Asian female in a South Asian community, sometimes there's the stereotype of, oh, we don't want our women to work. I mean, that's a very old stereotype, and people are coming out of that. but what kind of challenges have you faced?
Well, in the beginning, my board of directors, they were all men, except for one person.
Right.
And so that was the challenge, to get through that old boys club.
Right.
And for them to think differently.
Yeah.
And do they even want to listen to someone who was 32 years old? Someone that was young and female, and someone that wasn't part of the old network.
Right.
I'm not wealthy. And so I'm, not part of that kind of network.
Right.
So, proving myself each and every day was a challenge.
Must have been intimidating being 32 and in front of all of these people having to take charge.
Yeah, it was. But, I had been here in the organization for a certain period of time. So I had an established network to a certain extent.
Right.
But wow, when you get into that top position,
Yeah.
people are going to scrutinize you. They're going to attack you no matter what.
They will, yes, that's true.
And politics came into play immediately.
Right.
And because I was wanting to make change and revolutionize our industry model, many said, why is she doing this? What is her end game? And people thought, oh, she just wants to enter politics. Well, that could be a natural pathway for some.
Yeah.
But now it's been 17 years as president,
Right.
and I haven't entered politics.
Safe to say.
I've stayed true to my ethics.
Right.
And I don't have some type of a manipulative end game that some people have indicated that I do.
That's right.
And so I do what I do because I believe in Surrey. And so that's why, I've been here, and certainly all of my staff, yes, it's hard to work here because it is so fast paced.
Right.
But, we just move forward each and every day.
Absolutely.
And as a young woman, as women, and I know you believe in this as well, we just need to be creative and to innovatively connect the dots to ascertain that opportunity.
Right, absolutely. So when you're doing all of these things that you're doing, you're in the daytime, you're working hard at making sure that everything happens how it's supposed to for Surrey to make it great and make it even better every day. In your off time, which should be your off time, you're, in the events, always attending events, also in the betterment of Surrey. So what do you do for yourself? That's a loaded question, right?
Well, I mean, the evening events, everyone says, oh, Surrey Board of Trade is your life, but many of my friends, my close and personal friends, are at these events.
Okay.
So they become social events in addition to work. But I do have a close personal network that I trust.
Right.
And so we get together. But traveling, spending time with my husband, listening to live music.
Oh, what kind of
really
music do you like?
Relaxes me. So music from the 80s, and I love to dance.
Oh, you do?
And that's why, I also started with our partner Fusion Presents, a Surrey Music City Center, where we're training musicians to be entrepreneurs. So it's just not a side hobby.
Oh, tell me a bit about that, because I don't know much about that.
Yeah, so we are looking at, and again, this is an idea from European Chambers, but, really training musicians to be entrepreneurs, training corporations to pay for musicians. So you can't just take advantage of musicians. We need theater space. We need performing arts spaces that have state-of-the-art audiovisual equipment so that people can really enjoy music. We have so much dividing us.
Yes.
But what connects us as a community, what enhances our livability, is music.
Absolutely.
And no matter what culture you're in, and I know you're a live music fan too, Sonia, we really ensure that at most of our events we have live music or some form of music because it relaxes people when they're nervous, when they're in a networking environment.
Right.
And so our Music City Center is trying to make Surrey a Music City destination. On the West Coast, musicians, the old adage is that people don't support musicians.
Right.
They have to go to Los Angeles or Montreal or Toronto to make it.
Yeah.
But we're trying to change that narrative.
Right. That's actually wonderful because music, it's also therapy.
Yes.
Right? So mental health wise, music is wonderful. And the other thing I really love is that it doesn't matter what language someone speaks. It's a universal language.
Yes.
Everybody can dance to music. They don't have to understand the lyrics,
That's
but they'll
right.
all feel it.
Yes.
So that's a wonderful initiative of trying to get musicians paid, basically. I
Yes.
think it's wonderful.
But also to enhance their profile.
Yeah.
And to really promote not only our existing live music assets,
Yeah.
but to encourage more.
Right. No, that's wonderful. I mean, it's nice to have someone support the arts because it feels like, your earlier reference to your family wanting you to become a doctor. Everything is kind of like, doctors, math, that kind of thing. But the arts was always kind of secondary.
Yes.
So you bringing it to the forefront and saying we're going to support artists is a wonderful initiative.
And one thing I also wanted to say that is revolutionary that is taking place at Surrey Hospital is they're actually using music in their atrium to help with therapy.
Right.
Those that are on long stay at the hospital to ensure, livable spaces. And that there's actual proven evidence that it helps, increase your healing from whatever it is that you're facing.
Yeah, I think serotonin levels in the brain are elevated. So the same things that we take for antidepressants can be elevated by exercise. And then also music, I think, is another one. So it's an easy way to be healthy.
Yeah.
So for self-care, what other things do you do? I know you love the live music. And I know that you put your heart into your work and you're working 24 hours a day. I know you like to holiday. What kinds of things do you do for self-care? Because that work-life balance, I know work and life and, all of it is kind of intertwined for you.
Well, I kind of lift weights, every day.
Okay.
I
physical weights?
Physical weights.
Oh, good.
So that balances me in the mornings.
Yeah.
I do breathing exercises. And just spending time with my husband and holding hands and just being with him is my self-care. But I have to say I have to do a much better job with self-care. There's so much that I have to do, that I'm mandated to do.
Right.
And there's 30% turnover in my industry nationally every year.
Is there? Okay.
Because that whole element of self-care and stress is so high in our industry because you have to be all things to everyone, it seems.
You're always juggling something.
Yes.
There's always something coming at you.
Yeah, so I have to do a better job with that.
One more thing on your list to check off. That's okay. I think that you probably will. You talked about travel. So where have you been and what kind of travels do you have coming up in the future?
Well, Hawaii, of course. I got married in Hawaii.
Oh, did you?
And,
which part of Hawaii?
Maui.
Oh, wonderful.
Actually, I got married in Lahaina, which is, I had suffered those wildfires this past summer.
Okay.
So, we have so many amazing memories there.
Right.
But Hawaii holds a special place in our heart. But now we're exploring Europe.
Yeah.
And, again, when you're 50, you turn 50, it's a moment of self-reflection. What other parts of the world do you need to explore?
Right.
So Europe has been amazing. Mexico, of course.
Yeah.
The culture, the beauty of Mexico, I just love.
So you've been there before?
So many times.
Okay.
Yes.
And you don't do you stick to just the touristy areas, or are you traveling in other areas in Mexico?
We usually have a set base, usually in a touristy area.
Yeah.
I like to be taken care of,
of course.
because I'm always on the go here.
Yeah, you deserve it.
I deserve
a little bit of downtime.
Yeah, so I deserve to, when you reach a certain level in your career, you deserve to be treated well.
Absolutely.
And there's certain expectations of what you need in your downtime.
Right.
And I never apologize for that.
Mm-hmm. That's actually good because, you work hard, you play hard.
Yes.
That's the old adage there. Right?
Yes.
So Mexico, Hawaii. When you do head back to Hawaii, it'll be interesting to see the difference between before and now after the fires.
Yes.
I think that will be interesting.
And we did go to Kauai in April, just after the pandemic.
Okay.
And certainly the islands have been hit hard.
Yeah.
When we went to Europe in July, they've been hit hard by the pandemic.
Right.
So the pandemic was really the tipping point and a realization for so many on what didn't work, but what could work, and what can work.
Right. So what does the future hold for you? I know that's a big question too.
Yeah, it's a big question, but a really valid one. When you've been in this organization and in this industry for so long, so it's been 30 years in total. unheard of.
Yeah.
Um,
In any job, unheard of.
in any job.
And especially this job.
Yes, but I have staff, some have been here for 20 years.
Oh.
Some have been here for 17 years.
Right.
So that's unheard of.
And that's a testament to your leadership in this office, because if they're staying that long, they must be happy.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I mean, it's challenging,
Right.
but they stay because they love the work.
Right.
And they love the culture.
Yeah.
But the next chapter of my life remains to be seen.
Right.
There will be a next chapter.
Yeah.
But I look forward to announcing that whenever that happens.
Right. So yours is going to be continued, as far as we'll find out what you're going to be doing in the future.
Yes.
As far as Surrey Board of Trade's future, what does the future hold for Surrey Board of Trade?
It's pretty strong.
Yeah.
I mean, even during the pandemic, I would say many chambers of commerce, boards of trade suffered.
Right.
You can't just have the old Chamber of Commerce model reliant on membership dues and sponsorship
Right.
and parades
Yeah.
and all of that. You need a new economic approach to the business model of what a Chamber of Commerce Board of Trade is.
Yeah.
And so, this organization is strong, and it's going to last for at least another 100 years, if not more.
Right.
Certainly, we won't be on this earth in 100 years.
Yeah.
But the whole essence of a chamber, board of trade, no matter what socioeconomic circumstances we're faced with, whether it's war, pandemic, natural disaster, the chamber, board of trade of your community will always be there. And it originated in Paris, in France, 550 years ago, to bring businesses together, to speak as one voice to government, to ensure there was a vibrant community, vibrant businesses.
Yeah.
And I believe that will be the case into the future.
Right. Very well said. I've been at other chambers. I've gone to meetings, and I have to say that the Surrey Board of Trade is the most exciting. It really is. You're doing wonderful things. Yeah. So the future is bright for you and Surrey Board of Trade.
Yes, absolutely. I would say that.
So the females that are watching, I know that, you're a strong female, and you yourself said that, it was a little bit difficult to prove yourself, but you did it. And now you're established. I'm sure that there's people watching our program right now, and you can inspire them. What would you say to them?
I would say that they need to surround themselves with individuals that are smarter than themselves, that get away from negative people.
Yeah, it's about the company you keep.
Yes, and it's also about making sure that you take a risk. And if someone says to you, that is not a great idea, it's not going to work, try it. Some things will work, some things won't, and then just push forward. And take a risk. And be bold, be courageous, be innovative. And all women can do it.
I think your advice is actually good for males as well. Like what you just said is for anybody.
Yes.
Just take that risk, because sometimes it's hard to get out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And what you've been told by people around you.
Yes.
To take that risk.
Yeah.
That's difficult.
And I would say in this environment, the socioeconomic environment that we're living in right now, it's for women. Newcomers, Indigenous, all of those narrative pieces. But men matter too.
Of course.
And men face many challenges.
Yeah.
And so we need to take care of them because they're part of our society too.
Right. Okay. And what about immigrants that are, coming into Surrey? What advice would you give them?
Well, I was co-chair of Surrey's Immigration Partnership Table for 6 years with the City of Surrey.
Wow. Okay.
We have the highest newcomer destination and refugee destination within British Columbia in Surrey. So we make it a priority to support our newcomers for both entrepreneurship and career pathways. And so I always say to newcomers, again, the same advice that I would give to women. Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. It's about the network that you keep. Get away from the negativity. It is hard to be a newcomer. Even in 2023, it was hard for my dad in 1968. And back then, it was, limited Indian population.
Oh, I remember because my family came around the same time, and it wasn't even, now at least it's accepted, we're celebrating Diwali, like everybody's celebrating it, not just the South Asian community. But back then, you kind of had to hide your heritage.
Yes.
It was like, oh, I'm Italian,
Yes.
not Indian.
Yes. And so when I grew up in Prince George,
Yeah.
we were the only Indian family on the street.
Is that right? Oh my
And
goodness.
we faced significant racism.
Yeah.
And I know that in these socioeconomic circumstances, newcomers today, refugees today, there is some hate there.
Yeah.
There is racism. And I know it's hard. But, so get in with a network like the Surrey Board of Trade, where we have so many programs, services, that nurturing environment to, every single person matters, Sonia.
Right.
And that is a solid foundation in our action plan of the Board of Trade.
So when you say get in with the Surrey Board of Trade, what does that mean? How does that work for people that are watching?
Attend the events. If you can't afford the membership, at least attend the events.
They still can, even if they're not a member?
Absolutely. There are free events to get engaged with the community.
Right.
And again, as I mentioned before, we're also partnering with different community events. Get involved in your community. Be a part of the community. Not only part of your own cultural community, but other communities. And, make a difference in terms of impacting change. And then you'll feel a part of the community, and then you can move forward and identify the opportunities.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have a misconception that they can't get involved because they don't have the skill set that it takes to be part of something like that, But if they're able to attend meetings just to kind of get a feel for it, that's a great way for them to become more, I guess, vested in Surrey and in their community.
But we all have skill sets,
We
no
do.
matter where we come from.
True.
And I think they're all very nurturing, within this environment, and can be progressed in terms of what is needed to be done.
Right. Okay, so I know that you probably have advice for our viewers, besides what you just told me. If there's something that resonates with you that you really want to share, or even ways to get involved, or who to contact, or anything you want to talk to our viewers about, you can look right in that camera over there and give them your message.
So I wanted to say, again, I'm Anita Huberman. I'm President and CEO of the Surrey Board of Trade. I wanted to just emulate the message that Surrey is open for business, that the Surrey Board of Trade has an unparalleled, unique service value to help not only our business members, but for you as individuals, to ensure that you're impacting change in Surrey, in our province, in our nation. And I'm honored to be here for 17 years as president of the Surrey Board of Trade. And I look forward to welcoming you to our great city of Surrey.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All the best. Thank you for watching today's show. We'll see you again next time. मैं ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਆਪਣੀ Sonia West. ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ.